Finally, after an 11-hour flight, I arrived at LAX, Los Angeles International Airport. It's awesome! I can't wait to see my mom. You see, my dad's French and my mom's American. We used to all live together in France, but then they split up and Mom moved back here. Of course, I've talked to her on FaceTime and stuff, but this will be the first time I've properly seen her in 5 years. I haven't visited before because Mom's a super successful businesswoman and she works really hard. That meant she wouldn't have the time to provide me with the attention I needed. But now that I'm 16 and I can look after myself, I'm finally able to visit. So, thanks to my dad and stepmom for my plane ticket birthday present, I'm now in sunny LA for a whole month. Not only do I get to spend time with Mom, but I also get to chill out in her enormous villa. Ah, bliss. But first, let's get all my luggage, then find a taxi to my mom's. Yeah, unfortunately, she couldn't come to pick me up since she had some work to do. But no problem, I can handle this myself. Okay, maybe I spoke too soon. It's been half an hour and my luggage was nowhere to be seen. Then, this handsome guy approached me and said, "Hey, looks like your luggage has gone AWOL. Do you need any help?" Cute and helpful. I could totally get used to US guys. I showed him my ticket, and turns out I was waiting at the wrong carousel. Oops. After guiding me to the correct one, this guy, whose name I found out was Zach, even pulled my luggage down for me. But one of my cases got stuck and burst open, causing everything to tumble out. "Girl, it's not your lucky day, is it?" He burst out laughing. Oh well, at least it wasn't all bad. I mean, a cute guy had rescued me, right? He helped me pick up my things, then he offered to drive me to my mom's house. After some 30 minutes, he began to slow down. I looked out the window and, oh my God! This is the chicest villa ever! The pool, the tennis court, the palm trees. It was exactly like a movie star home. I was gawping at the villa when suddenly I heard a car engine sound. Startled, I turned around to see Zach zooming away. "My suitcases!" I yelled. Ugh, my laptop and iPad were in there too. Oh God, why is this happening to me? And on my very first day in the US? At least I still had my phone and passport with me. Phew. So I called my mom. Needless to say, I was a distraught mess when she arrived. Who'd have thought that such a kind-looking guy would turn out to be a thief? Anyways, my mom could buy me new clothes and things, and I could still have an amazing time in her villa, right? Mom led me to my room and told me to get some rest. After that disaster, I was dead exhausted, so I quickly fell asleep on the comfiest bed ever. When I awoke, it was dark outside. I realized I hadn't eaten anything since the flight, so I went downstairs and checked the fridge and cupboards. Huh? They were all empty. I was still digging around in the kitchen when my mom returned with some burgers. "Sweetie, I only got back from my business trip yesterday, so I haven't had time to go to the grocery store. Let's just eat fast food today, okay?" I didn't mind, as it was awesome to have dinner with my mom again after such a long time. I took a look around the room. There was barely any furniture here. My mom said that's minimalism, a trendy lifestyle in LA nowadays. Less is more. How cool is that? The next morning we went out, but what's with that old rusty car? Seeing my confused look, she quickly explained that this was only temporary as her car was being serviced. But then Mom couldn't get the garage door to open. Turns out, normally she had her own chauffeur, but since I've traveled thousands of miles to visit her, she wanted to drive herself. Aw, how sweet. In the following days, my mom and I enjoyed ourselves in LA. Sunbathing by the pool, spa days, shopping. This is definitely the best vacation of my life. At least until that morning, I was awoken by a loud quarrel. Looking down from the stairs, I saw Mom in the living room with a strange woman. She was pointing at the couch. Geez, that's where I spilled soy sauce yesterday while eating sushi. Then Mom appeared and sounded flustered. She told me to quickly pack my things as we were leaving. Mom, is there something wrong? Oh, nothing, sweetie. It's just that the couch is dirty, so let's just get someone in to clean the entire villa. Wow, Mom would deep clean the whole house just because of a soy sauce stain? How rich is she? So, where will we stay this time? A luxurious 5-star hotel? Or a magnificent mansion in Beverly Hills? But then the car came to a stop in front of some shabby apartment building. Huh? This couldn't be right. Mom told me this was her friend's spare apartment, so we would stay here a few days for convenience. Elena, it's probably best if you stay away from the people in this area. They don't have the same lifestyle as us. You know what I mean. Ugh. Yeah, this place was the opposite of the villa. Cramped room, hard bed, and the bathroom didn't even have a bathtub. Since moving here, Mom didn't take me out anymore. In the evenings, she dressed up all elegantly and went out to her fancy work meetings. On one such evening, I was sitting alone watching YouTube, munching on French fries for the 5th time this week, when there was a knock on the door. I opened it, and standing there was a scruffy guy, claiming to be Frankie, the landlord's son. I told him there must be a mistake, as we were only here for a few days. Then I went to close the door, but he blocked it with his foot. Miss Anita has rented this apartment for 2 years. What do you mean a few days? I just saw her take a cab at the front door. Don't lie to me. No, my mom is a successful businesswoman who has a villa in Brentwood Park. Then you must have mistaken your mom for someone else. In short, remind your businesswoman mom to pay the rent. Then he sneered and walked away. How dare he say that? And why did I keep on running into jerks? Ugh! When Mom returned, I told her what had happened. I thought she'd find it funny or something, but nope. Instead, she got really mad. You shouldn't have opened the door to him. I told you not to socialize with the people here. Okay, hearing made-up lies about yourself like that must suck, but did she have to be so furious about it? The next morning, I was drinking tea on the balcony when suddenly I saw a familiar face passing by down the street. My God, it was the jerk from the airport. Zach! That thief! I shouted, rushing down, but when I got there, he disappeared. I was still exasperated when a voice came from behind. What on earth are you doing screaming this early in the morning? I turned around to see Frankie leaning against the wall with his arms folded. None of your business, swindler. Huh? Swindler? What do you mean? Quit lying. I already told my mom all about you trying to con money out of me. Is that so? So, you think I'm the liar? Before I could answer that provoking question, I heard my mom's voice calling down from the balcony. Hey, rich girl, if you want a reality check, I suggest you come meet me tonight, and we'll go follow your mom. Mom appeared and, frowning, asked me why I was talking to Frankie. I blurted out something about asking for directions, then quickly entered the room and closed the door. Frankie was clearly a thieving, lying jerk, right? But then, why were his words lingering in my mind? I had noticed a few strange things, such as when we were at the villa, I asked Mom where the cutlery was, but she couldn't remember. But then in this apartment, she immediately got it. Plus, why was there a photo of her in the bedroom when this was her friend's place? That night, when Mom was getting ready to go out again, I spotted her necklace. Only, it was actually my necklace. The one that had been stolen along with the rest of my stuff. My dad got that necklace custom-made just for me, so it was a one-of-a-kind, but why did Mom have it? I complimented her on it and asked her where she'd got it from. Blushing, she excitedly told me that this rich man she'd just started dating had bought it for her. Then she said he was taking her for dinner tonight. I forced a smile, but my head was filled with questions. Who really was Mom? I secretly followed my mom down the street. Suddenly, a hand patted my shoulder. Let's go. I turned around and it was Frankie. Without saying anything, I nodded and quickly got into his car, and we followed Mom's taxi. Hold on. Isn't that the villa we stayed in before? After a while, a luxury car arrived. taking my mom to a nearby expensive restaurant. We peered through the glass wall. There she was. My mom was sitting there, smiling and talking with some man in a suit. Was she pretending to live in that villa to trick that man? Was my mom a gold digger? I couldn't watch any more of this, so I pulled on Frankie's arm. But weirdly, he seemed to be as shocked as I was. Wasn't this your idea? So why the pale face? He just shook his head and took me home. We waited in the apartment for Mom to return, and oh boy, it was tense. Around midnight, we heard the door open, and Mom walked in and looked at us in alarm. She started shooing Frankie out of there, but I interrupted her. Mom, I know everything. You've lived here for 2 years. You're poor, and you scam rich men. Sweetie, it's not like that. Please calm down and I'll explain everything to you. So, it turns out, after divorcing my dad, she was determined to go back to the US and succeed at business. But she failed, and she was so embarrassed she lied to me and Dad. Then when she heard that I was coming to visit, she spent the little savings she had on renting a swanky villa for me. But when I accidentally spilled soy sauce on that expensive couch, she couldn't afford to fix it, so we were kicked out. As for the man I was with tonight, I ran into him while walking outside the villa. He's rich and nice. He likes me and I like him too. But what about that necklace? Mom, it's actually mine. It was in my stolen suitcase. My mom gave me a confused look, but before she could say anything, Frankie blurted out, "That man's a fraud." Mom and I gaped at Frankie as he turned to me and said, "I'm sorry, but I think you guys need to know the truth." Then Frankie told us how that man was none other than Zach's dad. After taking me back to the villa, Zach figured my mom was rich, so he persuaded his dad to come and flirt with her. But how did you dig up the dirt on these guys? Because I know Zach. When I saw Lana chasing him, I knew he'd stolen from her. But he's my friend. Great, so you've both been lying to me. Then I rushed into my room, locked the door, and burst into tears. The next morning, Mom knocked on my door, but I ignored her. Lana, I get that you're upset with me, but I've left a sandwich here, so please at least eat something. I'm really sorry. Just wanted to be the perfect mother for you. Her words caused me to sob all over again. But I can say, from the bottom of my heart, I feel sorry for her. After that, I opened the door and hugged her tightly, and then we both blubbered into each other's arms. I'm leaving LA today, with Mom. She's moving back to France with me, where she can start afresh. While I was dragging my suitcase to the taxi, Frankie appeared and apologized to me. I just shrugged and told him it didn't matter anymore. I mean, at least he came clean in the end and saved my mom from that swindler. Hey, rich girl. Good luck. And, feel free to keep in touch. So, what now? Well, Mom is settling back into French life. She has a new job and a chic apartment. I go and stay with her each weekend, and it's good to finally spend time with the real her. As for Frankie, well, we send each other lots of Snapchats. So, okay, maybe I kinda like him. I'm planning to visit him in the summer. Hopefully my next trip to the US won't be as crazy as my last one. Yes, it's me, Kate, here again. When I traded places with my doppelganger to avoid being stuck in some ghastly summer school, I didn't expect to end up penniless and having to work in some dusty old homestay. But I suppose it wasn't all bad, as I got to meet Bond. So imagine my surprise when I discovered that not only was he a runaway rich kid like me, but I also caught him hanging out with moi. Well, the other me. Ugh! I hired her to pretend to be me, not to be with my man. Looks like it was time to return to my normal life. Miss, without a letter of invitation, I can't let you in. Are you kidding me? Why do I need an invitation to enter my own home? How could they not recognize me? Right at that moment, Clara gracefully got out of a luxury car and entered my house. I shouted over to her, but on seeing me, she gave me a confused look. Then she whispered something to the security guard and went straight inside.
Sorry, Miss Kate doesn't know you. Please leave.
Huh? How dare she? She wasn't Miss Kate. I was. Did she really think she could treat me like this? Ugh! I'd show her who the real rich girl was. But as I was leaving, I caught a glimpse of myself in a car window. Oh my gosh, I looked horrendous. My once bouncy curls, perfectly made-up face, and glamorous clothing were no more. Instead, I had a greasy ponytail, my skin was completely bare, and I was in worn old clothes. No wonder the security guards didn't recognize me. I barely recognized my own self. Well, well, well. How comfortable it is to be back in my room, doll up again, and just take back what's mine. How did you get in here? This is my room, remember? I can run away by myself, so you bet I can sneak back into my own room. Listen here, fake me. Mission's over. It's time you left. What mission? Are you crazy? Get your filthy hands off my stuff! Wow, immerse yourself in the role much, huh? Enough. Now give me my life back. What if I don't? Don't you dare! You think my parents won't recognize me? Seeing as I've been impersonating you for an entire month without question, I doubt it. Besides, they're on a month-long business trip in Dubai. So, who will help you now, huh? OMG, she was so arrogant, unruly, and obnoxious. Worst of all, she reminded me of someone. Me! Well, the old me. Why didn't I realize before how awful I actually was? Ignoring Clara's defiant face, I took out my phone and made a FaceTime call to my parents. They had to spot it was me straight away, right? Wrong. They gave us both looks of shocked confusion, and they couldn't seem to tell us apart. So they told the two of us to stay at home for the time being while they made arrangements to come back. Huh, is it that hard to distinguish your own daughter from a hick? But anyway, she'll be out of here soon enough. The next morning, we went back to school. Claire looked so trashy in her tiny miniskirt. Jeez, this wasn't a nightclub. Oh, Kate, you look outstanding. Where did you buy it from? That's it. My friends will always be able to tell me apart from a fraud. But hang on. No! They were moving toward Clara. Huh? Are they actually praising her?
Wow, there's another Kate here? But it's a faulty version. A lame one.
My panicked feeling increased as all my friends and Clara burst out laughing. You guys don't recognize me? I'm the real Kate, the one you all idolize, the trendsetter around here. Everyone looked at me in bewilderment, and then back to Clara. Look at her pathetic appearance. She's just trying to be a copy of me. After that, Clara and her friends left. Jeez, all it took was one summer away for Clara to turn into me. Ugh, why doesn't anyone recognize me? Seeing Clara living my life with my friends was driving me crazy. I was now seen as the copycat version of my own self. Ugh, no way was I losing to this crafty charlatan. So the next day, I decided to show everyone how charismatic I was. After all, form is temporary, but class is permanent. And soon, everyone would realize who the real Kate was, right? I waited until Clara was out of the way, then I went over to my group and started recalling some of our old stories that only the real me could possibly know. When Clara returned, oh my, she looked furious. Ha! One day, when I just entered the cafeteria, I saw my group making a nerdy girl run errands for them. Poof, your mother is the school's measly janitor, so you two are just our dog's body.
Now hurry up and go get us some ketchup." When the girl was bringing it to them, one of them tripped her foot and made her face fall down on the plate of sauce. The whole group burst into laughter. I rushed to help her up and scowled at the clique chic girls. They may have looked stylish, but beneath it all, they were monsters. But worst of all, it was my fault, as it was my group. I'd basically created them. What's wrong with her mom being a janitor? That doesn't mean she has to serve you guys. As I can see, all of your legs and arms are working fine. So go get stuff yourself.
Wow, look who it is. Do you all believe she's just a lousy replica of mine now? The true clique chic Kate wouldn't blurt out such nonsense.
Clique chic all looked me up and down, then gave me disgusted looks.
Too much of a saint. What a hypocrite. Kate would never say that.
Obviously, she's the fake one.
Those whispers made me so angry that I turned as red as the ketchup. Fine, pretend to be me all you want, but you and I both know I'm the real me, and I'm better than ever. You won't be able to keep up that act for much longer.
And then to the surprise of the others, I stormed off.
That night, social media was awash with my news. Can you believe I was actually being mocked for being the copycat while Clara was being praised? Talk about ridiculous.
I scrolled through my old photos and scanned over some of the thousands of likes and compliments.
I'd lived in the admiration of everyone.
Ugh! Maybe I needed to go back to being the arrogant and snobby old Kate, and then everything would be over, right? Only I couldn't do it. I couldn't be that heartless and selfish version of myself anymore. So how could I end this whole mess of my own making? There was another way. If there's only one Kate who showed up, there wouldn't be any more fakers. Oh, seems like it's going to be a really good day at school today. But such a shame that our sweet Clara might not be able to join us. Everyone greeted me warmly as they thought that the imposter who was smeared on social media yesterday had been too embarrassed to show her face. Even so, I didn't want to hang out with these stuck-up mean girls anymore. The clique chic group should be disbanded. As I was deep in thoughts, out of nowhere, a nerd blocked my way with a bouquet of flowers. He timidly held them out to me, and people began buzzing and pointing. The girls in the group took pictures of him and urged me forward.
That's our Kate with her irresistible charms.
Someone's essay's ready for next week. I hesitated, not knowing what to say. I didn't want to accept love from someone I didn't like. People started to frown at my silence. Then a few voices of doubt arose. Why doesn't she accept the bouquet as usual? Perhaps she's not? I saw red. Suddenly, I found this whole pretending to flirt with someone just to have them do our homework absurd. And above all else, it wasn't fair to him.
You don't have the guts to do it, do you? Because you're not Kate.
Startled, I turned around to see Clara taking the bouquet of flowers from the nerd's hand. I snatched it back angrily. He likes me, not you. He likes Kate, and I'm Kate. That Clara was just so shameless to say that. Did she really think she could be me? Did she think being mean and snobby made her the it girl? How shallow of her. Yes, if it was Kate from the past, I would have received that bouquet and made him do my homework. But the present Kate won't do that. Do it yourself. Stop relying on others to do everything for you. As for you, Clara, let me tell you this. Despite your best efforts, you'll never be me. Once a liar, always a liar, you counterfeit. I was done here. I was the real me, and if they couldn't see that, then whatever. So I walked away. Suddenly, a hand pulled me back. It was the nerd. Sorry, but I really don't like you in that way. You really don't have feelings for me? Are you sure? Upon his words, he took off his wig, glasses, and the mole on his face. Bond? Is it really you? I was so shocked that I couldn't believe my eyes. Bond handed me the bouquet and said,
"You won't say no, will you?"
"Of course. How could I say no?" I led him to an empty classroom to talk. Why are you here? And what's with the disguise?"
"After I left the homestay, I went back home. My parents did what they always do, and tried to make out like money could solve everything by throwing an extravagant party. I was lingering out of the way when, to my surprise, you walked in with your family."
"Huh? What party?" Oh, he must mean Clara. He continued,
"I went over to talk to you, but you acted like you'd never met me before, so it didn't take me long to work out this girl wasn't you. I was worried, so I called the homestay and they said you'd left. Determined to solve this mystery, I went to your school and found everyone was in a frenzy, as out of nowhere 2 Kates had appeared. Both of them were it girls and nothing like the homestay Kate I knew. So, in order to suss out the real one, I disguised myself. And my plan worked. As here you are."
"You're such a trickster!" But I still have one question. Why did you suddenly leave the homestay that day? So, turns out his passion for marine life led him to run away from his disapproving parents and go to a coastal homestay. Only, when he realized from the newspaper that his parents were looking for him, he didn't want to get the homestay into trouble, so he returned home. You should have at least said goodbye to me. I was so down when you left like that. Did you know that?
"Kate, I'm truly sorry. I never meant to upset you. Actually, I'm kinda crazy about you."
After that, Bond drove me home. And guess what? Looks like my parents were back earlier than expected. As for the fake Clara, she'd already fled the scene with a load of my clothes and makeup. But, whatever. At least she'd finally gone. So, what now? Well, I'm dating Bond, and I'm so happy with him. At weekends, I go to the coast and help him with his marine animal research, which is actually a lot of fun. And I don't even mind having salty air lips. I never take my parents for granted anymore, and I never force other students to carry out dumb errands for me. And of course, clique chic was no longer a thing. Everyone at school had grown used to the new and improved version of me. Obviously, I'll always be the it girl who sets the trends, but only the decent ones.
I'd just climbed back into the room when suddenly I heard a voice. "Jasmine, how come you're only getting home now?" I turned around to find Emma standing there. "That's my business. Don't come home late like this again, okay? You'll be grounded if your dad finds out." I shrugged and closed my door without saying anything. Yep, that's Emma, my stepmom. She doesn't actually care. She just pretends to. If it wasn't for her telling my dad to forbid me from singing, then I wouldn't have to sneak out to go practice like this. Different day, same story. Yet again, I've had to lie about going to my singing practice. Honestly, I can't wait to be an adult so I can do whatever I want. "Dad, I'm going over to Mix to study," I said as I headed for the door. Suddenly, Emma pulled me back and handed me a bottle. "Huh? Licorice tea? Drink this after practicing. It helps keep your voice clear." Then she winked at me. Huh? So she knew I'd lied about where I was going, yet still she'd helped me? Maybe, just maybe, I've been misunderstanding her this whole time? Later that night, Emma suggested we should go for a picnic on the weekend, and for once, I excitedly agreed. But when the weekend rolled around, there was this hectic snowstorm. Emma kept looking out at the snow with disappointment written across her face. That's when the idea hit me. How about we have an indoor picnic? Yes, that's right. That's a great idea. And so we set up the tent right in our living room, and we were having the best time when suddenly the doorbell rang. I got up to answer it, and standing there covered in snow was a woman. She suddenly ran at me and said, "Oh my gosh, Jasmine, you've grown up so fast. I've missed you so much." Before I could understand what was going on, Dad shouted, "Megan, I can't believe you have the nerve to show up here like this. I know you won't accept my apology, but you don't understand. I had to see her. I've missed her every single day." Oh my God. So, that woman was my mother? I couldn't hold back my tears and ran straight over to hug her. I swear I'd been waiting for this moment for years. Mom gently stroked my hair and then turned to my dad. "Can I stay here for a while? Just to make it up to my beloved daughter after such a long time being apart, Elvis?" "Are you joking? Get out of my house!" "Dad, please let her stay. Please." But no matter how much I begged, Dad wouldn't give in. And so I turned to Emma for help. "Elvis, just let her stay here. If Jasmine wants to be with her mom this badly, we should let them have some time together. Come on, darling." I looked at Emma with so much appreciation, then turned those puppy eyes towards my dad, and eventually he reluctantly nodded his head. "Yay!" I shouted and led Mom to my room. From that day onwards, I spent most of my free time with her. We went to the movies together, shopping together, and honestly, it was the happiest I'd ever felt. One day, I was listening and humming along to my music when Mom came in. "Wow, so you also love singing?" "It must be genetic. Back then, if I hadn't been so passionately obsessed with music, which drove your dad crazy, I might never have left you like that. Now I regret it so much, Jasmine." I put my arms around her and softly said, "After all these years, I still think about that lullaby. Can you sing it to me?" "Which one?" "I sang you many lullabies back then. It's Don't Know Why by Norah Jones." "Oh, right. That one." Then she started singing. I swear to God, her voice was like an angel. But strangely, it didn't give me any of the feelings I had as a kid. Was it because I have grown up? While I was absorbed in my thoughts, I suddenly saw Emma's shadow at my doorway. But when she met my eyes, she hurried down the stairs. Huh? Why was Emma crying? I was so confused. "She must be jealous of our relationship," Mom said. Yeah, probably, since she'd been married to my dad for 3 years, but we'd never been close. That evening, when I went to the kitchen with Mom to set the table, she suddenly shouted, "Oh my gosh! Why did Emma make chicken parmigiana? Doesn't she know that your dad hates this?" Then she took the plate and threw it in the trash, saying she would order takeaway instead. Huh? Dad hates this? He always complimented Emma on her signature dish. Before I could react, Emma entered the room. As soon as she saw her chicken in the trash, she glared at Mom. Things then got so awkward. Emma had skipped dinner. Mom also tried to start a conversation with Dad a few times, but he ignored her. I felt so bad for Mom. In my dad's eyes, there was only Emma now. But my mother had done nothing wrong. She just wanted to pursue her passion. Later that night, I was heading to the pantry to get some snacks when I heard Emma yelling at Mom. "Megan, for old time's sake, I didn't bring up anything from the past, but you can't just do whatever you want." How dare Emma yell at my mom like that? As soon as Emma left, I ran over to my mom asking her what had happened. She hesitated for a while, then told me the whole story. It turned out Mom and Emma used to be in the same band when they were young. And since Mom was always the lead singer, Emma had begrudged her ever since. Perhaps she has never gotten over it. I didn't expect Emma to be so mean. So from that day on, I began to show my attitude towards Emma. I didn't let her go to the parent-teacher conference like I had promised before, and I even forbade Mick, my best friend, from talking to her every time he came over. "Mom, how did you and Dad meet back in the day?" "Well, back then, your dad was a waiter at the lounge I used to sing at every weekend. We quickly fell in love and started leaving love letters for each other at our secret spot." Ew, how cheesy. "It's called romantic, you silly. At that time, we put our initials at the end of every letter." Suddenly, there was some noise at the door, and I turned to see Dad standing right behind us. "What do you mean, our initials? It represented our 2 favorite characters' names from that movie." "Yes, it was the initials of Monica and Quincy in the movie Love and Basketball." Dad gaped at Emma in surprise as she continued. "I was the one writing letters to you that year." But when I got to the meeting spot, I saw you and Megan together, so I left. Dad and Emma looked at each other, then turned to stare at Mom. Actually, back then I liked you so much that I pretended to be Emma, but it's not that important. In the end, you were still into me and we got along really well, right? I can't believe you lied to me like this for all these years. Then Dad angrily left the room, followed by Emma. As for Mom, she was sitting there, tears pouring from her eyes. Okay, so Mom was definitely in the wrong, but did Dad need to treat her like that? Who doesn't make mistakes from time to time? And anyway, it's because of my mom's mistake that I'm even here, right? From that day onwards, the atmosphere in the house was so intense. Dad ignored Mom, and Emma always gave Mom hateful looks. Until one day, I'd just gotten home from school when I saw my dad excitedly running towards me saying, "Emma is pregnant. You're going to have a little brother or sister." Wow, I'd always wanted to have a sibling. I couldn't believe it. So that night, my family threw a party to celebrate, and Mom also congratulated Dad and Emma. And thanks to that, the tension between the three of them started to ease. Phew. But a few days later, for some reason, Dad found out that I'd lied about going studying with Mick. He was furious and grounded me for a week. I was sullenly playing on my iPad when Mom entered the room. Emma must be the snitch. Now that she's pregnant, she wants Dad to be angry with you, so he'll give all his love to her and the baby. Well, that just made sense. The other day, I'd even seen Emma whispering something to Dad, and as soon as he heard it, he got mad. Ugh, such a two-faced woman. I had to sort this out, and so I set up a fun plan for my stepmom. One time, I made her orange juice using powdered cheese, and she ended up spitting it out all over Dad. Then I unscrewed the shower head to add blue food coloring, and that's how I gave her a Smurf makeover. It was hilarious hearing her horrid scream from the bathroom. Another time, I snuck into Emma's room, trying to put flour in her hairdryer. I was rummaging through the bedside table looking for her hairdryer when suddenly I saw a DVD labeled Jasmine 0311. Huh? What's this? Why was my name on it? Curious, I went back to my room to play it, and then I couldn't believe my eyes. On the screen, Emma was carrying a baby and singing a lullaby to her. This melody. Wasn't it the song Don't Know Why? So that baby was me? But Emma couldn't sing, could she? Her voice was weak and sounded hoarse. What did this mean? I rushed to show my dad the DVD. Emma told me not to talk about this, but since you already know, I won't hide it anymore. Then he told me everything. Turns out my mom left for a rich man when I was only 2 years old, and it was Emma who came and helped my dad take care of me during my younger years. Oh my gosh. What? So all those memories of my mom's warm hugs and lullabies were all actually of Emma? A feeling of guilt welled up in my heart. I had to do something to apologize to Emma. So the next day, I asked Mick to go to the mall to help me buy her a gift. As I was passing a coffee shop, I suddenly saw my mom sitting with some guy. Without thinking much, I quickly pulled Mick to a nearby table and eavesdropped on them. Honey, how's the money? You know how pushy the creditors are, and they're getting kinda aggressive. Don't worry, it won't be long now. My daughter's on my side. She'll help me kick her stupid stepmom out. Then my ex-husband will soon follow her wish and volunteer to give me money. What? What was going on? Had Mom come back just for Dad's money? I was about to go confront her when my phone rang. It was Dad. Jasmine, go to the hospital right away. Emma is in the emergency room. By the time I got there, I saw my dad sitting outside the ER with his head in his hands. After a while, the doctor came out and said, "Both mother and baby are okay. Next time, please pay more attention to the patient's food allergy." How could you eat stuff you're allergic to? You must be more careful, okay? Yeah, Emma always took good care. It didn't make sense. Unless my mom... I was about to tell Dad about what I'd seen at the mall when Mom suddenly appeared, eagerly asking about Emma's situation. Unable to stand her pretense any longer, I shouted, "Mom, drop the act. It was you who did all of this, wasn't it?" Jasmine, what nonsense are you uttering? Furious, I immediately told them the whole story I've heard. Megan, I could forgive you for the old letter story, and for trying to sabotage my voice, but the fact that you wanted to harm my baby is unforgivable. It turns out the stuff from the past that she mentioned before was that my mom harmed her to destroy her voice. So that's why Dad didn't let me sing, for fear that it would cause Emma pain. Suddenly Mom burst out laughing. I don't need your pity. You were so lucky to have such a beautiful voice and a wonderful man by your side. And even now, you're still trying to take the life that should have been mine. Megan, give it up already. You need to stop this. Mom was about to say something, but I interrupted her. Mom, please just go. I'm so ashamed to have a mother like you. Then I burst into tears. She got up and left, without even so much as a glance back at us. Emma took me into her arms. I was afraid that you would be disappointed. That's why I hid everything from you. I'm sorry for treating you so badly. She gently patted my head, and I felt like I was back in my childhood, where she'd held me and sang lullabies. It was so comforting. Finally, peace has returned to my family. I'm so fortunate to have Emma as a stepmom, and pretty soon, my little bro or sis will be here, and I can't wait.
Here it is. Thank God I found it when I did.
Cosmic Jess?
Who's Jess? I'm Jen.
You're Cosmic Jess, admin of the secret astrology mailbox. Quit the act. I know it's you. I've read your notebook. Your astrological analyses are incredible. You sure did your homework on the boys I told you I want to conquer. You're my idol. Huh? Oh, turns out our hot girl Kira here, she's the weird girl who asked me, or should I say, my alias Cosmic Jess, to help her flirt with guys. Ugh, but out of all people, why does it have to be her who found out about my identity? She knew too much. Let's be friends, okay? I'll keep your secret. I swear. Okay, but no one can ever know about this. Secret friendship. I get it. Was it a friend request or a contract? I shouldn't be friends with the resident hot girl, but it seems like I didn't have much choice. If anyone finds out that I'm Cosmic Jess, then I'll be kicked out of the astrology admin group. Hey, are you blind or something? Can't you see the road? I picked up my books in silence. It's best if I don't get involved with this attention seeker. I was about to leave when Rebecca grabbed my hand. You can't just leave. You broke my new iPhone screen, so I want to know what you're going to do about it. Is your head just for decoration or what? As you're acting like a brainless brat. What are you looking at? Don't you know who I am? And why are you rolling your eyes? Kira didn't stop there. By the time she'd finished taunting Rebecca, she caused her to run off crying. Then Kira winked at me and walked off. A famous, cute Leo wants to be my friend. I guess that's not a bad thing, right? Beneath her competitive and brash exterior, Kira is actually a warm and optimistic girl. No surprise, though, as Leos are extremely dedicated and sincere. She even gave me this beautiful white dress, just 'cause she said it'd complement my skin tone. Oh no! Now I've ruined it! Stupid ketchup bottle! I rushed to the bathroom to try and fix it. Jasmine, give me the soap bar! SOS!
Here!
Oh my God, what? Through the curtains, I saw the silhouette of a tall boy showering.
You should stop breaking into the bathroom like that. We have a new tenant. Wait, can I please finish up here before we have formal introductions?
Jasmine apologized to him, then dragged me out of there. Turns out that's Mark, my older brother David's classmate, and he would be staying with us while he completed his internship. Mark walked out of the shower not long after that, and oh my God, he was gorgeous. Look at that sun-kissed skin, lean muscles, and bright smile. Thank you, universe. He introduced himself, but my ears were ringing, and I couldn't hear a thing.
Cupid had hit me. He even helped me clean up the ketchup all over the kitchen carpet and floor. What a nice guy. Then when the coast was clear, I snuck into David's room and rummaged around, trying to find some more info about this hot friend of his. There it was. Mark was born on May 22nd. So he's a Gemini. A perfect gift for an Aquarius girl. I went to school with a spring in my step. Oh, what a glorious day! I hurriedly lined up as I heard the coach's whistle. News on the grapevine was that we had a very handsome new basketball coach. Oh, come on. How could a coach be handsome? But, oh my gosh, that's unbelievable. Mark, the dreamy Gemini guy from my house, was also my new coach. What more proof did I need that this was destiny? After school, I was about to tell Kira about my destiny when she gave me info about her new target, a Taurus boy. This was the second time in a month. I was about to lecture her, but then she bribed me with the new Jan Spiller book. So, I took a look at their birth charts. Interesting. After so many mismatched attempts, Kira may have found her perfect match. But after a week of trying to impress this guy, Kira failed miserably. This Taurus guy doesn't like my enthusiasm. I just don't get it. I've shown him how kind I am by helping people out, and I even changed my style for him. I actually tried on this vintage knee-length dress that smelled like mothballs, and he didn't glance at me once. Let me check. I just don't understand how it can be wrong. Okay, let me go get some snacks. I recalculated and redrew the chart, but still couldn't figure it out. Maybe he already had a girlfriend? Or perhaps he wasn't into girls. In this case, I couldn't help at all. Just had to close this Leo-Taurus case and open up the Aquarius-Gemini love story. I flipped through my chart and Mark's. We matched perfectly, and I just drew hearts around the picture of him glued on it. Ah! I have shocking news, Jen! Kira's piercing scream startled me. Why the hell is the gym teacher downstairs in your house talking to Jasmine? Oh, he's staying in David's room for a while. What? Why didn't you tell me that hot news? Wait, what's in your notebook? Don't tell me it's Mark, okay? I quickly turned around to get the notebook, but Kira was faster. So, you also like Mark. That's why you gave me the advice to be an idiot in front of him, right? Huh? Your Taurus guy is Mark? Of course, I didn't know that. I mean, he's not even a Taurus. Yes, he is. But you knew this. Now you're trying to trick me with your false info so you can find out more about him. If you want, I'll leave him to you. I'm not that needy. Not like you. Unbelievable! Do you really think you would have been able to pick those ex-boyfriends of yours up without my advice? Duh! I'm a beauty queen. You're just helping me speed things up. Beautiful, but boring. The personality that won over all those guys was built by me. That's not who you are. Boring? How dare you? I'll show you just how far from boring I am. Kira then left. Okay, fine. She's living in La La Land about herself. Talk about delusional. Poof, I don't need such an unreasonable friend. At the same time, I received a ton of notifications from the secret mailbox. Oh no, my pictures and info were leaked all over the forum. I quickly logged into the administrator account. Ugh, anonymity was the #1 rule of the group, so now they'd kicked me out. My favorite job, my fans. Kira, this was too much. Fine, you want to play dirty? I'll show you dirty. It's time Kira's long list of boyfriends went public on the school forum. Kira the Omnivore was the new nickname that students gave her. Oh well, it was her fault for flirting with 12 guys in just half a year. Was she trying to find a boyfriend from each of the 12 zodiac signs or something? Let's end this stuff. It's because of Mark, right? You'll never have him. He's mine. Fine. If you can win his heart in a month, then I'll apologize for lying about your boyfriend collection. If not, you have to write a post claiming that I'm not Jess. Okay, mark your own words. Kira is a competitive girl, but in this fight, I would definitely win. I mean, come on, she couldn't even get Mark's star sign right. Even though she's a terrible cook, Kira still tried to send some disgusting cakes that she made to my house for him. But of course, Mark threw them in the trash after the first bite. She also feigned feeling faint and fell into his arms in every basketball lesson. Mark looked so uncomfortable. Not surprising, really, seeing as he's 100% Gemini, not Taurus, so her fragile girl act wouldn't work on him. As for my relationship with him, well, that was coming along nicely. And thanks to our assigned star signs, all I had to do was just be myself. For instance, the other night, when I just happened to mention there was a shooting star, he enthusiastically made me and Jasmine go along and watch it. Then last weekend, he invited me and her to a friend's farm, which was so much fun. I saw the cute looks he was giving me, so if Jazz hadn't been there, he definitely would have confessed his love to me. And it was true that I didn't have to wait long, as that night, I suddenly heard a knock on my door. How sweet! He'd left a movie ticket for me. Take that, Kira. I knew I'd won this one. I'm so gonna take a picture of us holding hands in the cinema and send it to Kira. The night after, I didn't see Mark at home, so I guess he wanted me to meet him at the movies? This was so romantic. I was in the right seat, but he wasn't here yet. My heart was beating so fast that I thought it would explode. As the movie started, the lights went out, and that's when someone was approaching my row of seats. I nervously pretended to be staring at the screen when he came to sit next to me. Why are you here? Huh? More like, what are you doing here? The two of us watched the whole film together in anger and impatience. Who on earth arranged all of this? We huffed our way out of the cinema, then spotted Mark. Only he was holding hands with a girl. Jasmine? We chased after them, but Jasmine just shrugged and smiled. So, all this time, he'd been trying to win Jasmine's heart, not mine. Then he walked over to us and handed me his card.
Go get yourself some ice cream, pizza, anything. Have fun. I'll be back with Jasmine later.
What was that about? I looked at the credit card and gasped when I saw Timon's signature in the corner. How could I forget Geminis have multiple personalities? Timon was the founder of the astrological mailbox. Who would have thought that the leader of this group would be a teacher? Someone I lived with, my sister's boyfriend, my crush, and even my bestie's crush. Kira gave me a comforting look. Now we were both lovelorn, but in true Leo style, Kira had already lined up her next prey. Don't be sad. It's just another test. What zodiac sign do you think that guy is? He's pretty good looking, so he must be a Libra, right? I chuckled, then leaned my head on her shoulder. Mark, or should I say Timon, made me realize that before I can hope to find my dream match, I need to make some mistakes first. I may not have found love, but I did have my friend back, so that counted for something, right? At least the test of friendship worked.
I'd only just arrived at school, yet I could tell something was up. Dude, what's with all the fuss? Did Carl do something crazy again? Look at this. Jeez, gross. Sorry, wrong direction. This way. Here you go, Miss Stewart, the new principal of our school. In front of me was a stern-looking woman who exuded a terrifying aura. Ooh. Well, that was unexpected, as we all assumed that Mr. Smith would take the lead because he'd been serving as school vice principal for pretty much forever. Suddenly, everyone's phone vibrated. Why the stern face? She looks so angry at the world. Is she allergic to our skin? Every skirt is too short, LOL. No dance party this year? Unbelievable. Is she a principal or a jailer? Warning you guys, she knows our secret smoking place. Jeez, look at all those faces pinned to their mobile phones. The gossip mongers. Over the next few days, rumors about our new principal seemed to be everywhere. Info about her seemed more sought after than Imagine Dragons tickets. Also, from day one of the principal's arrival here, a series of bizarre stories began to circulate. One day I was walking into class and heard the most ridiculous story in the world. My school was haunted. Idiots. I quietly crept under the table, then suddenly poked my head up and shouted, "Boo!" which caused all my friends to jump in fear. Haha, losers. All that spook stuff is nonsense. You don't believe it, huh? Yet Stacy saw it. Oh no. Stacy? I didn't know they dragged my crush into all these silly gossip things. She's usually a smart girl. Not sure what had gotten into her. After that, Stacy lowered her voice and started talking passionately about her chance encounter with a silhouette that appeared in front of the principal's office. But worst of all, before she could get a closer look at it, it vanished. It was probably just the security guard. Nah, when I left, I still saw him dozing off in his room. He even checked the camera and saw Stacy just standing and saying hello, even though nobody was there. Creepy, right? Then the story went further, when someone claimed that the new principal was a witch and was bringing evil forces to the school. Oh my God, Stacy. I needed to pull her out of this mess of nonsense right now. But no matter what I said, she insisted. I saw it with my own eyes. What if she really is capable of dark magic? Oh, come on. We're not kids anymore, Stace. Evil forces, witches, demons, they aren't real. But it's you who might get in trouble when the principal starts investigating who's spreading the rumor. Josh, it's driving me crazy. I need to confirm what I saw. But I'm scared. Can you come with me, please? I hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Okay, back gate, 10 p.m. tonight. Let's just get it over with. Plus, it'd be a great chance to impress my crush, isn't it? That night, I arrived at our meeting point early and waited around. It was freezing, and not gonna lie, I got goosebumps. Okay, calm down, Josh. Ghosts were just tricks of the mind, and it's time to show my future girlfriend how tough I am. As I was deep in my thoughts, a hand suddenly touched my shoulder. Jesus, Stacy! Do you know what time it is? Oh, sorry, I'm a bit late. Did I scare you? Of course not. Let's get inside and end this obsession of yours. But how are we supposed to get in? Stacy pointed at a big hole in the school's fence that was hidden by a bush. We then carefully sneaked through it and successfully avoided the security guard. Piece of cake. Inside, the whole school corridor was pitch black, and the streetlight shone from the glass windows. The scenario looked pretty much like a horror movie, but there was nothing to fear, right? I used a flashlight to guide Stacy to the principal's office, when suddenly a loud screech sound made my heart want to stop. Stacy clung to me in fear. Relax, I think it's just the sound of the speakers crackling. Are you scared, Stace? No, let's just go. But then, as soon as the noise stopped, another creepy sound started up. Footsteps. Had the security guard spotted the two of us already? I turned around and there was nothing but an empty space. Just like that, we continued walking, and they walked too. And when we stopped, they stopped. Then as soon as the footsteps began to rush towards us, I grabbed Stacy's hand and ran as fast as I could to the principal's office and slammed shut the door. Listen, Stacy, the footsteps were probably from the security guard. You see, clearly, we're the only ones here, so stop believing in these things, okay? I just finished talking when suddenly the door burst open, and I could see a motionless figure standing there. That's him! Holy mother. I was so scared that I closed my eyes and grabbed onto Stacy. Then when I opened my eyes, the shadow was moving towards us. Terrified, I rushed to the door to escape and, bang, both me and the ghost fell. Mike, are you okay? Mike? The three of us sat awkwardly on the sidewalk outside the school. I didn't need the chilly wind to make my heart feel frozen. As it turned out, Stacy already had a boyfriend, and that boyfriend was none other than Mike, my best friend. Ugh, so much for me wasting my time playing hero. And if you're wondering why Mike was here, the answer was to help Stacy put on this phantom play. That's right. Both the crackling and the footstep sounds were all made by him. Hang on, why did she make up this ghost story thing? Even prepared a whole play for me and the others to acknowledge it? Stacy explained that it was only because the new principal was too harsh, creating strict rules and making it difficult for the students. Huh? But I don't think any of these rules affect her much. I mean, Stacy had always been a model student anyway. So why did she have to take it to this extent? I asked, but Stacy just ignored me and asked me to keep it a secret. In the following days, people kept questioning me on my late-night expedition. At first, I just kept quiet because I didn't want to get involved in annoying gossip and to be reminded of how my best friend turned out to be my love rival. However, rumors about the haunted school spread quickly and reached the press. Fear swallowed the school. A few students even transferred to another one because they were so scared. Although I wasn't a fan of the new principal's strict rules, what Stacy did had gone too far. One day, I was about to find her to figure this out when I saw her walking alone down the exit stairs. "Stacy, I know you're the principal's daughter and the admin of the spooky group chat that has been on the rise recently." "What? Stacy's the principal's daughter? Unbelievable." "And wasn't that person Mr. Smith, the vice principal?" "Perhaps we're after one same thing. Don't you want your mom to work elsewhere too? Right? But your method doesn't seem to be working so well." "So what do you suggest?" "There is an easier way, that is, hand me your mother's seal. I will take care of this." "That's too dangerous. How can I trust you?" "Now that we're on the same boat, you probably don't want your mother to know what you've done behind your back, do you?" As soon as Mr. Smith left, I immediately ran to Stacy. "No, you can't do that. You don't even know him personally. Be careful." But Stacy insisted on doing it on her own. She said that since her father passed away, she'd grown tired of her mother's rules. School was the only place she used to feel free. But now, that also been ruined for her. "I can't live 24/7 under my mother's containment. Do you understand?" Well, it's true that being a teacher's child must be stressful enough already. Not to mention being the child of a strict principal. That would surely be even more exhausting. But conspiring with Mr. Smith was a step too far, right? And what will be, will be. A few days later, a ton of messages regarding the principal faking test scores to improve the school's ranking broke out. And of course, she would be subject to disciplinary procedures and may have to quit her job forever for violating professional ethics. I looked over at Stacy. Her face darkened and suddenly she darted out of the classroom. I chased after her and looked everywhere for her, but she was nowhere to be found, until I heard a sobbing sound coming from the abandoned canteen. Thank goodness, there she was. Seeing me, Stacy burst into tears and poured her heart out. She could not have foreseen the consequences of her actions, and naively let Mr. Smith take advantage of her and created all this. "Stace, I think it's best to tell your mom the truth. There's still time to fix this, quick, before it's too late." She wiped her tears and gave me a hug, then agreed to go find her mom. "Mom, I'm sorry. I started the rumors and I conspired with Mr. Smith to help ruin your career." I thought the principal was going to go ballistic, but then to my surprise, she came forward and pulled Stacy into her arms. "I know things have been tough since your father was no longer with us. I've just been so worried about you making the wrong choices and going down the wrong path that I started to be stricter on you. I love you. I never meant to put this much pressure on you. I'm sorry. Please forgive Stacy. She never meant to hurt you, and she feels terrible about it." "Everything's fine. Thank you very much, Josh, for telling me about this." "Huh? You already know everything?" "Yeah. I was so worried that you would be taken advantage of, so I told her about the conversation you had with the vice principal. As for the rumor that the principal had to quit her job, it was me who spread it. I mean, that's how Stacy realized what she did was outrageous and could have big consequences, right?" Although her mom forgave her, Stacy was still nervous because she'd given Mr. Smith her mother's seal. "It's okay, dear. What you did accidentally helped me to get evidence of his embezzlement by impersonating me. His misconduct will soon be handled. It's all good now. My work here was done. I fixed things with Stacy and her mom. But most importantly of all, I proved that the school's not haunted." "So what's next?" "Well, Stacy must have been so moved by my heroic actions and started developing feelings for me. As she broke up with Mike, not long after that, then asked me out. But he's my best friend, and there's no way I'm making him sad over a girl, so I turned her down. Besides, her mischievous side is kind of terrifying. Girls are dangerous."
Wow, this cake tastes like heaven. I reached out to grab another piece when I heard a growl behind me. "I told you to be graceful, didn't I?" Then Mom pulled me over to greet this smartly dressed couple. Ugh, again. They looked me up and down, then said, "I heard that you're a gifted pianist. We would love to hear you play. Huh? Piano? I'd never played it before in my life. Before I could say a word, Mom chimed in. Unfortunately, Phoebe's just sprained her wrist. Maybe next time. I looked at her confused. Why would she lie like that? Jeez. Mom, why did you say that I could play the piano? Ah, yes. I may have bragged to them that all of my adopted children are excellent. What can I say? All moms boasted about their kids, right? And yep, I'd grown up in an orphanage before Mom welcomed me into her family. This place is pretty grand, huh? I found it overwhelming at first, and ended up getting lost trying to find my room. Luckily, there are plenty of my adoptive sisters around to show me where to go. I do have 10 of them. Yep, you heard me right. 10. It was as if I had just moved from one orphanage to another, only no more orphaned. And we're all similar ages, which is unusual, as foster parents often prefer younger kids. They said us teenagers are rather stubborn. Not to mention how my adoptive dad is never around. Seriously, I couldn't even tell you what he looks like. So it's just us girls here. I got on best with Collins. She's a couple of years older than me, and we share the same bedroom. As much as I liked living with Mom and my sisters, Mom did make us all do strange things, such as wear cheesy clothes and walk in a straight line. Worse still, she forced me to learn the piano. Ugh, I was not at all musical. I just made a right din. She also taught me how to eat properly, but it did kind of feel like a dog training session. I was only allowed to eat when she showed a signal, and by the time I could catch up with how to use the silverwares, the meal was already finished. Ugh. But I suppose that's how every mom teaches her daughter, right? And apparently, Mom didn't have the patience to coach me anymore, so she handed me over to Collins, her star daughter. We spent an hour every day talking together, or rather, she gave me pointers on how to talk correctly. Collins said I needed to control my volume because I had a tendency to shout my words, and it wasn't very ladylike. I had to whisper at the same volume as her, and also choose my words carefully to show intelligence and grace. Ugh, maybe it'd be easier if I just didn't say anything at all from now on. Aside from Collins, I didn't have a chance to get to know my other sisters, as Mom made each of us pursue a different aptitude. Then we had to perform for her on our monthly assessment. Mom's overall very gentle and caring, but too strict when it comes to training. So we all have to spend a lot of time and effort in practice. One day I was trying to make sense of the music sheet when I heard Lexi complain, "Ugh, why does Mom force me on this mission impossible? So boring." What? At least ice skating is 1,000 times more fun than the piano. If only. An idea popped into my head. That night, I went to my mom and timidly said, "Mom, I want to switch from piano lessons to ice skating. I can exchange with Lexi. What? No. But why? Lexi doesn't even like ice skating. Well, it's because I can see potential in each one of you, so it's impossible to switch." Frustrated, I went back to my room and began whining to Collins, but she thought that it wasn't a big deal. Mom knows what's best for us. Well, that I'm not too sure about, yet we didn't even get to go to school. As Mom said, her homeschooling was enough. While I only found her method rather strange, I've dreamed of this perfect life with an amazing mom, but Mom was never very affectionate. It didn't matter how much we studied or tried to perfect our chosen hobby. She never cuddled or praised us, not even Collins, who's the smartest girl here. I was desperate to impress Mom, so one time I spent ages making this Portuguese appetizer for her, but all she did was take one bite and say it was okay. I asked her if she didn't like me, but she just replied in a growl tone that she was helping us to have a high position in society and a bright life. But I don't need those things. I just wanted her to like me. This place is so stuffy, and the only time that I can actually breathe is when I'm on my Friday morning bread buying errand. Ugh. Then suddenly someone patted me on my shoulder, which startled me so much I dropped my stuff. "Hey, it's really you. But is something wrong with you? Why the strange walk?" "The only thing I'm good at is buying bread, but now you've ruined it. See?" Jet stooped down to pick it up for me. He was still as rude as ever, but I still found myself jealous of this free spirit off him. We used to be a perfect match at our orphanage, and quite embarrassing to admit, but I was very naughty back then, and often shoplifted with him. "You could go steal some more." Remember our tricks? I have to tell you 3 things. Firstly, I've been adopted. Secondly, my adoptive family is wealthy. And finally, I'm being educated to be a noble lady, so no more stealing. That's ridiculous. I also have 3 things for you. I've been adopted too. My parents love me so much. Oh, and they're cops. We looked at each other and burst out laughing. So we were both caught, weren't we? Jet and I sat down on a nearby bench to catch up, and when I poured my heart out about my new family, he interrupted me. Sounds strange to me. Why would they only adopt teenage girls? And what are those training lessons and monthly evaluations for? Then, Jet insisted that he would investigate my adoptive family. That's silly. But anyway, it's fun to reunite with a friend, and we agreed to hang out every Friday after that. And here comes my first assessment. Of course, I couldn't even play a simple melody, so I had to study for 3 more hours every day. My sisters suffered even more. Kinsley was forced to abstain from food because she weighed 2 kilograms more than the standard. In contrast, Willow had to eat continuously at night in order to gain 5 kilograms. If it's to this extent, then it must have not been simply for the sake of the casual boasting of a mom, right? On the next Bread Friday, I told Jet about last week's assessment. He firmly stated that there was a problem with my family. I don't think so, Jet. Mom just wants the best for us. Listen, Phoebe, I think she trained you guys on purpose. Each of you has to be good at a certain subject, just like the shopping orders. Orders? Don't go too far. You know Kobe beef? Cows are made to listen to music, given beer to drink, and massaged, but in the end, you know what the outcome is. Oh no. Is that what this is? Mom always said that she would give us the best life as long as we worked hard. Were we being tested and stamped like those cows? One day, I came home to Collins excitedly packing her suitcase. Mom said she's taking me to a new school tomorrow. So Collins was leaving? But where? I'll miss you, sis. Text me when you get there? But days passed without a word from her. I asked Mom, and she said that Collins' hard work paid off, and she'd been accepted into a prestigious school, but they had a strict no phones rule. Huh, that sounded sus. So I told Jet, and he insisted I report the case. Another Friday, Jet and I met at a church near the bakery. Why did he choose this boring place? I was looking around when I saw a group of schoolgirls coming out of the church. They all wore the same dull uniform, had their hair neatly tied back in a bun, and all obediently lined up. Then there I saw her. Collins? I was about to rush over to greet her, but the glare of the woman accompanying her scared me off. This was not right. I'd got to ask Collins what was going on. So I grabbed Jet's arm and went after the group. But they got into a black car and sped away. Maybe they chose this church as a place for their transactions. Smart, huh? They put everyone in school uniforms so no one would suspect them. But seeing those faces, I'm sure they're about to be sent to the black market soon. Black market? The thought alone made me shudder. I had to save Collins. I couldn't let Mom get away with this. That night, I tiptoed downstairs to eavesdrop. Okay, I'll deliver her this weekend. Correct. She's 5'7". She can ice skate, cooking and painting. Of course, I have her trained as required. You won't be disappointed. So the deal goes as planned, okay? See you on Sunday. That's it. The next delivery was Lexi. I checked her room and saw her packing her stuff, a beam of innocent happiness on her face. I quickly texted Jet, and he immediately replied, "Just wait at home calmly. Don't act without thinking. I'll figure something out." That night, I couldn't sleep a wink. I was so terrified something terrible would happen to Lexi. So early the next morning, as soon as I saw Mom and Lexi getting in the car to leave, I snuck into the trunk, lay there without making any sound, and sent Jet the location. The car took a long time to stop. Had we finally arrived at the transaction location? When it seemed safe, I carefully climbed out and saw Mom talking to a fastidious-looking middle-aged woman. What did Mom say that made Lexi so panicked that she kept clutching Mom's hand? The woman handed Mom a rather thick envelope, then grabbed Lexi's hand and dragged her away. God, where was Jet? I couldn't just sit still like this and watch my sister being taken away. Let Lexi go! Now! Phoebe, what are you doing? Stop it. You're going to sell us, aren't you? I already know the truth. What on earth are you talking about, Phoebe? Furious, Mom pulled me away. Stop. Suddenly, 2 cops rushed in, ordering everyone to put their hands up. Behind them was Jet, still panting. Turns out they were Jet's adoptive parents. Help me! Mom is trying to sell me and my sister. Seeing that, the other woman quickly explained, No, there must be a misunderstanding here. I'm just helping Gianna's daughter to enroll at my school. Bewildered, my eyes darted from Mom to the other woman and then to Jet. In the principal's office, I told everyone why I thought my mom was a human trafficker. They all gasped in surprise. I made you practice that hard just because I want you to get in here, the most prestigious all-girls school, so that you can have a better life. I don't want to go to this school anymore, Mom. She told me all about the harsh rules. This place is terrifying. You can't force your kids to do that. You adopted them, so you have to make them feel safe and loved. Miss Gianna, this is a prestigious school, and it doesn't need your scandal. You led me to believe that your daughters were naturally gifted, which now transpires is all lies. I won't accept any child from your family from now on. No, they're my children. They deserve the best. Then she begged the principal to withdraw her decision, but she firmly shook her head. Suddenly, Mom shouted, Why? I just want them not to suffer like me, so what's wrong with that? Then Mom burst into tears. It turns out that in the past, Mom was in love with a politician, but he decided it would further his career if he chose to marry a graduate from this prestigious school instead. Mom loved him so much, she continued to be his mistress. But despite being fully provided for by him, Mom always felt that she was inferior to his official wife, especially when he proudly boasted about his smart wife and talented daughters. Then, when she wanted to start her own family, he wouldn't allow it. In the end, she decided to adopt girls and train them to become excellent so that they could enter this school regardless of their background. So that's the reason why she did this to us. I have to admit, I did feel a bit sorry for her. All of this was probably just to ease the pain of her past. But Mom, we don't want to go to this snooty school. We just want you to love us and protect us. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was only trying to help. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Then she hugged me. So, in the end, my sisters and I finally have a truly happy family. Mom doesn't make us do any dumb tasks anymore. Instead, she lets us pursue our own dreams and passions. Now we all go to a public school and live out our normal teen lives. It's wonderful finally having an amazing mom, incredible sisters, and my pretty awesome best friend, Jet, all by my side.
Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be Rio de Janeiro. The whole audience burst into laughter. What did I just say? Panicked, I checked the script again. Huh? It did say Rio de Janeiro. Ugh, I know she's behind it. Lisa! She must have messed with my script. You're probs wondering why I didn't run down to the stands and give her a taste of my shoe? Well, it's complicated. You see, Lisa and I used to be best friends. When I was 7, my family moved to this town, and Lisa was my neighbor. Back then, Lisa always seemed lonely, as she didn't have any siblings. Her mom was busy with work, and her dad was away on business. So I often came over to hang out with her, and eventually we became the best of friends. We had so many things in common. Oh, and even her dad was a cop, just like my dad. Lisa never mentioned him, but I know she missed him. But then our 10 years of friendship was recently ruined, just because of some boy. You see, Lisa liked this guy called Brent at school. So being the great friend I am, I tried to help. But Lisa found out that he'd been messaging me and thought that I was flirting with him behind her back. I tried to explain many times, but she refused to listen. So now, I became her reluctant enemy. Her sneaky tricks became commonplace. And on this occasion, she won, as she got the role of Juliet, while I was just a boring maid. On the day of the play, after finishing the final rehearsal, Lisa suddenly walked up to me and smiled. Sorry about the audition. I've been thinking about it a lot and realized how childish I was. Then Lisa handed me a bottle of my favorite juice to make up. Okay, that's strange. Does she have 2 completely different personalities inside her or something? Or did she realize how great of a friend I am not to resent her petty tricks? Anyways, seeing as it was her birthday and all, I happily took the bottle of juice and wished her good luck. However, 15 minutes before the performance, I had the worst cramping pains in my stomach, I sprinted at rocket speed to the bathroom, and by the time I got out of there, the show was pretty much over. And guess what? I hadn't had anything that day, except for the juice Lisa gave me. Unbelievable! She did it to me again! I then rushed into the lounge of the drama club and rummaged through Lisa's bag. Bingo! Inside was a bottle of laxatives. She put it in my drink so I couldn't participate in the show. Ex-best friend or whatever, there's no way I'm gonna let her get away with it this time. Then suddenly, I found a vintage pocket watch sticking out from the innermost compartment of her bag. I held it in my hand and saw that the number 1999 was engraved on it. Why did it look so familiar? "Don't touch my father's belongings!" A voice sounded from behind me, and the next thing I knew, Lisa snatched the pocket watch from my hand. Why was she angry? I mean, I was the one who got done over, not her. And also, what did she mean by her father? I was still thinking about it when I arrived home, and suddenly saw someone sneaking around outside Lisa's house. Isn't that Dad? My dad looked around and then placed a beautifully wrapped gift in front of her door. It must be Lisa's birthday present, but why didn't he just hand it to her directly? When my dad came back inside, I quickly rushed over to him and asked, "Hey Dad, do you remember the pocket watch that you love so much? I haven't seen it for a while. Where did you put it?" Dad seemed to be flustered by my question. Then he muttered that he'd sold the watch to a pawn shop. I just nodded, but I knew he was lying, as he treasured that watch too much to ever sell it. Why did he give it to Lisa, then lie to me? Could it be that Lisa is my dad's illegitimate daughter? And the fact that my dad insisted on moving here, was it just so he could be close to his mistress and his child? Ugh! Lisa had stolen my role, and now she wanted to take my dad away from me too. I'd had enough. It's time for me to give her a taste of her own medicine. The next day at school, I made sure Lisa was watching as I flirted with Brent, then linked arms with him. She looked like she was going to explode with anger. Then I told everybody in class that Lisa's father wasn't away on business and that she only said this as he had another family and abandoned her when she was little. The rumors must have gotten back to Lisa, as the next thing I knew, she was confronting me as I walked out of the toilet cubicle. "How dare you say that stuff about my dad? You're a horrible liar!" Then we ended up in a nasty hair-tugging fight. It was so bad a teacher had to come in and pull us apart. Then the principal called our parents. Luckily for us, my dad and Lisa's mom decided not to make this a big deal because of our close neighborly relations. Yeah, as if. However, my dad still made me apologize to Lisa and her mom. Ugh. Dad, why do I have to apologize? It's not like she apologized to me for putting laxatives in my drink.
You were wrong to spread those untrue rumors about her. But what were the laxatives about? I thought you two were friends. Since when did you guys become this resentful towards each other?
I wasn't lying. They're the truth. Are you defending Lisa over me just because you feel guilty that she's your secret daughter?
Kirsty, what did you say?
I explained how I knew about the watch and therefore I'd figured out his secret. He was silent for a long time, then sighed and said,
"Actually, Lisa's dad was a colleague of mine. He was a good man who worked hard at his job. We had this difficult case involving a notorious criminal gang and, unfortunately, her dad passed away while on duty. In his last moments, he gave me his pocket watch as a memento and asked me to look after his 4-year-old daughter, Lisa. Her mom and I couldn't break the heart of that little girl, so we said her father was away from home on business and would return when she'd be 18 years old. As for me, I would pretend to be her father to occasionally send gifts and letters to her. When you and Lisa were 7, I decided to move here in order to easily take care of her. And as you know, I gave her that pocket watch, her father's last memento."
But why did you lie to her like that?
Lisa was too young at that time to accept such an ugly truth. Her mom and I didn't have much choice either. I was expecting her to get used to it and stop waiting for her dad, but it's true that we didn't expect things to be like this. On her last birthday, I continued to play the role of her father and left a present at the door with an apology. for not being able to come home due to a busy schedule. But we know we can't keep this from her anymore. It's heartbreaking to see her longing for her dad so persistently.
So, it turned out that all my speculations were wrong. Not only that, but I also spread false rumors and hurt my friend. Oh God, what had I done? How could I put this right? That night, I sent Lisa a long text apologizing, but she didn't reply. So the next morning, I waited at her door to go to school together, but she just walked straight past me. Looking at her distraught face, my heart filled with remorse. I just entered the school gate when someone tapped me on the shoulder.
"Want to go see a play with me tonight?"
Brent held out 2 theater tickets. Oh, it was for The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. I was desperate to see that. Back when Lisa and I were still friends, we talked about going to see it. Wait, Lisa. That's right. So I lied to Brent that I was busy and told him to ask Lisa to go with him instead. Lisa looked so thrilled that Brent had asked her out. Now my conscience was clear. Lisa and Brent would realize they liked each other and finally get together properly. Then she'd forgive me, right? Anyway, I did have an essay coming up, so I went to a quiet coffee shop and studied there till late. But when I got home, I walked through the door to smashed-up ornaments and the sound of my parents arguing.
"So you've been lying to me and Kirsty for all these years? How could you have a secret child the same age as your daughter? Aren't you ashamed of yourself?"
What's going on? Did she know about Lisa? I quickly ran to stop her. Mom, it's not what you think. I thought so too at first. But you have to listen to Dad.
"Those lies may fool you, but they can't fool me. Lisa is his illegitimate daughter. That poor girl came here and told me."
I tried reasoning with Mom, but she was too upset to listen. With a slam of the door, she left. Dad plopped down on the couch and gave a solemn sigh. I sat next to him, comforting him that maybe it was Lisa's misunderstanding. Dad, we have to tell Lisa the truth. I'll approach her first to test the water, and then when she seems to be emotionally stable, you will come and talk to her, okay? The next day, as soon as I arrived at school, I immediately went to look for Lisa. There she was, standing by her locker with her arms folded. I walked over to her, but before I could say anything, she shouted, "Stop acting as if you're that noble! I know Brent only invited me to the theater 'cause you told him to. Why do you wish to embarrass me so much?" Then Lisa burst into tears. "If my dad was still alive, he would protect me from mean girls like you." I gaped at Lisa. She already knew everything? But if so, why did she tell my mom the day before that my dad was also her dad? I stood there, refused to move until she told me the truth. Eventually, she blurted out that on her 18th birthday, she saw my dad leaving a gift in front of her house. Suspecting something was up, she mustered up the courage to ask her mom everything. It devastated her to learn that her long-awaited dad was just totally a made-up lie by my dad. She was full of rage towards my dad and me, so she lied to my mom so we'd know what it felt like to have a broken family. I was furious. How dare she do this to my family? But as she sobbed out an apology, my anger faded right away, and I only felt so sorry for her instead. What she had gone through was really unbearable. I hugged her tightly and the pair of us cried our eyes out. When we both calmed down, we decided to have a frank talk with our families. I told Lisa I didn't mind sharing my dad with her, as he loves her like his own daughter anyway. But in return, Lisa needed to apologize to my mom and explain everything to her so she'd come back home. So finally, my mom has returned, and our 2 families are at peace again. I'm so sorry. I was out of my mind. I didn't mean to hurt you, Mom. Mrs. Lamont. Everyone burst out laughing. I also took the opportunity to give Lisa's mom a big hug and called her my mom, just like Lisa did. We were all chatting away happily when the doorbell rang. Lisa and I both went to open the door, and saw Brent standing there holding a bouquet of flowers. He had this bewildered look on upon seeing us both here. But you know what? It doesn't matter which one of us he was looking for. There's no need for a boyfriend right now, 'cause I already have my best friend right here. Or should I say, my sister?